let's get stuck into this. Let's get ready to rumble. And the front page that we're kicking off with tonight is The Australian. And, of course, this is a common theme throughout the front pages this evening. Clock ticking on climate. IPCC, that's the headline on the front of the Oz. If we go to the front page story, it says the world's leading climate scientists have warned that the prospect of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius will be out of reach within 12 years at current rates of greenhouse gas emissions, in a report that finds it is now unequivocal that human activity is heating the planet. A landmark report for the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change found human activity had already warmed the planet by 1.07 degrees Celsius since the Industrial Revolution, and in a regional update says Australian land areas have warmed about 1.4 degrees higher than the global average. Now, Ollie, if we go onto the front page of the Fin Review, we see the same story. Australia faces worst climate hit. Story there by Mark Ludlow. We go to the SMH, same scenario. Latest UN climate data stresses rise in urgency. And, of course, The Age, UN raises red flag on rapid global warming. Whichever way you look at it, Ollie, this is a stark reminder of just how fragile this planet is.
Yeah, it does, Gleeson, and it will certainly be a huge talking point around the nation tomorrow. It'll also be interesting to hear what the Morrison government says. I see Angus Taylor is already quoted throughout a number of the major dailies tomorrow, indicating Australia's already on target for our 2030 goals and look to try and attribute to net zero emissions by 2050. There's obviously got to be global agreement here, and the big polluters of the world really need to put up their hands and lead from the front. So obviously countries like China and India, the United States in particular, Gleeson, there needs to be coordinated global leadership here. It's a big reminder, obviously, for Australia and the rest of the world. It's a huge talking point throughout the country tomorrow, and it'll no doubt have fierce opinion and debate as well about whether or not we are doing enough, whether or not this should be the priority. But that stark reminder, as you say, Gleeson, about the planet and the fact that we've seen such devastating bushfires and floods in our country, particularly over the last 24 months or so. That's a scenario that we'll continue to grapple with over the next decade or two to come, and it'll probably only get worse. So there's the stark reminder and what's in the forefront facing our nation at the moment when we get away from COVID issues for a moment.
Well, speaking of which, we can't get away from COVID issues for long. I want to take you to the SMH, Ollie. And I know you're keeping a very close eye on what's going on in New South Wales, your original home. Chant hazard to face lockdown inquiry. New South Wales Chief Health Officer Kerry Chant will be questioned over the advice she gave the New South Wales government about when Sydney needed to go into lockdown during the latest COVID outbreak at a special parliamentary inquiry. Dr Chant and Health Minister Brad Hazzard will appear before the Upper House COVID Oversight Committee today, as in tomorrow, as more parts of the state, Tamworth and 4 North Coast councils, including Byron, are in lockdown.